Sort of break it down like this.
You know, and it's like it's the Godzilla lore is so deep that it's almost insane. It's kind of great, but it's also like so wacky because there are so many kinds of Godzillas. Have you ever seen the space Godzilla with the giant crystals on his back?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. You know, like I think
Godzilla Jr.
Oh God, Godzilla Jr. You know, growing up in the 70s, Saturday afternoons were like Godzilla Monster Theater, you know? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I loved Godzilla. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Godzilla's great. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
my favorite was Biolante. Yeah, Biolante was my favorite villain. Actually.
My favorite villain is actually Mecha Godzilla. I love Mecha Godzilla.
Mecha's awesome too.
I love Mecha Godzilla.
So are all those characters in the same world?
Yeah. Oh my God, with the flashing light on his head. He's got the Spock helmet.
Yeah, Mecha Kong is so stupid. I love it.
yes, I love Mecha Kong. But he's got Spock helmet. He wears the Spock helmet. If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we could be friends.
Yeah, he's great. I love him.
Well, the important thing is that Frank has been watching Godzilla for 50 years, and so everybody came in here to explain it to him.
No, Frank was explaining.
Are they all in the same world? Like Gamera, Mothra?
Yes. No. Gamera is not. Gamera is a whole separate. So Gamera was a giant monster created by a Korean film studio. And
no, Gamera. There's Godzilla versus Gamera.
No, that's right. There is. It's Gojira. I was thinking about was the turtle.
There was a movie that was made. It was not released in theaters because there were all these problems with rights and stuff like that. But they're not supposed to be in the same world at all.
All right, I remember seeing a Gamera and Godzilla movie.
It's kind of like when the JLA meet the Avengers, you know?
It's kind of like when the JLA meet the Avengers.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Rodan is definitely not part of Godzilla's.
No, Rodan is. Rodan is from Monster
Island. Are you sure?
Yep.
Because I see, that's the one I think is not connected.
No, Rodan.
But Rodan before, though.
Rodan and Gamera are connected, though.
Nope. No.
There's
a different pterodactyl that Gamera fights. It's a different pterodactyl.
Yeah, that's right. Rodan definitely fought Godzilla.
Start the show.
All right.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Gang hang! We got stuff to gang and hang about today. There was all kinds of screwball news. The actors are no longer on strike, so every movie trailer you can think of and some that probably shouldn't have ever been born have hit the internet. We've got so much stuff to talk about. I mean, like, I don't even know where to lead off, but I think we may as well start with Madam Web, right? Let's get it out of the way.
It's really the logical place to start.
Let's do it. That's the one we're the most fired up about, right?
Yeah, man, I'm worked up. So it's as I described the thinking of the hypothetical Sony exec that greenlit Madam Web was, what if we took this character and made her hot and gave her super strength?
Oh, and Spider Babe friends too. Don't forget about a gang. Of Spider Babe friends.
Okay. So this is just me. This is me kind of speculating from what we already know and from what the trailer shows us. This looks like it is a period piece set in the past.
Yeah.
Back before Peter Parker is born or when he's just a baby, because both Adam Scott from Parks and Rec is in it, rumored to be Ben Parker, and there's another gal in it that is supposed to be Mary Parker. I thought maybe at first it was a mistake and it was supposed to be Ben and May or Richard and Mary, but it could just be like Ben's trying to protect his sister-in-law.
Or Sony,
his brother's wife,
Sony
or
doesn't
whatever.
keep good track of this shit, and they're just like,
or Ben Parker's not in it, or he's in it and they just haven't cast him or whatever.
Well, I I think just on that trailer, it seems to be all of that you just said is probably correct. That there's some type of baby Peter thing going on, but it's like a Terminator type storyline.
You see a baby,
like
right? Yeah. So it's Madam Web, Cassandra Webb, with 2 B's, somehow gets future spider-like future sense.
She seems
just
to
like
go,
all spiders have future sense.
Well, the East River gives it to her specifically.
Precognition.
Yes, you do.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you drink enough water from the East River, you get future cognition.
I think that's true.
I can confirm. I can confirm that.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. Run. But he also looks like he might be mixed with Morlun because he's like sucking the life out of him, or Kane, or all 3.
I don't think they're keeping track of this at all. So
nope.
Well, I mean, I think they're merging some characters.
For the record, I did not realize at the moment that Morlun and Ezekiel were different. So continue.
Morlun is the guy that
you know what
Morlun
I mean? It's
is.
like, oh yeah, I guess they are different.
Morlun is Ezekiel is the old man from the JMS run that shows up with spider powers and warns Peter about Morlun.
Right.
Morlun is the spider totem eating energy vampire.
Now,
guy.
at no time did Morlun wear a Spider-Man suit, though. Morlun never wore a Spider-Man suit, so
no, neither did Ezekiel for that matter that I can remember.
No, he was just.
But he is wearing some sort of spider, like a very Spider-Man-esque costume. It's black and red.
Awesome.
And so we see that these women it's Maddie Franklin, who in the comics was J. Jonah Jameson's niece. She was the 3rd Spider-Woman after Julia Carpenter. The other one is Julia Carpenter, and she's played by that gal from
Sweeney.
Euphoria. Yeah.
Is one of them Aranya, the heart of the spider?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
We didn't see Aranya.
Aranya's in there.
Aranya's in there, dude.
Maybe. I don't think we see her in the trailer.
Yeah, isn't that the one with the legs?
See her like,
isn't that
that's
Aranya?
Maddie?
Spider.
No, that's Julia Carpenter in a comics accurate black and white Spider-Woman costume.
Man,
or at least
one of the 3 girls is Aranya,
close.
I think.
Because she's credited as Julia Carpenter. So then the other one is Maddie Franklin with the weird spider legs that she had. She was so gross. I hated that character so much.
Really bad.
And so so they're like teaming up against this guy who is Ezekiel or Morlun or both or all of them. There's a baby Peter, or like the vision of a baby Peter, or like maybe like she sees the future and sees that Peter is destined to be born and become this great hero, and they have to protect Mary and Richard, Ben
in true Sony
Mary or
fashion,
whatever.
We do have a character that goes to a jungle, gets bit by something, and comes back with powers. That's Ezekiel this time.
And they're already memeing. There's this line in the trailer where Madam Web says something like, "It reminds me of that time where my mom was in the Amazon studying spiders before she died." and people have turned that into a meme, like Bernie Sanders. Like, "I am once again reminding you about the time my mom studied spiders in the Amazon before she died." And that kind of thing. It's very funny.
I think the only thing that could make me care less about...
That's Madam Web, as I understand it so far, just from what we've seen.
The only thing that could make me care less about Madam Web having her own movie is making it a period piece that is basically years before Spider-Man, so we're not going to have to worry about ever seeing any of these characters again unless they do the real old Madam Web in modern
They bring
day.
back Madam Web as old.
They won't do it. They won't do it.
I mean, that's a tough like 15 years.
Yeah.
To go from Dakota Johnson to Madam Web. Unless it's set far enough in the past that like Peter's birth is years away. You know,
I mean, I'm not going to give him too much credit, but there is a possibility, like at the end of this entire movie, you see all of them suited up, and it's just like She's old, like, I don't know, 20 years later or whatever. And she's blind. Somehow she gets blind before the end of the movie. And then here we go. Back into the Andrew Garfield movie. That's
all I know.
coming out.
I'm sure Ezekiel
All I know
pushes
is
his
that if they
thumbs
don't-
into her eyes in the end of the film, and she's like, and she puts a blindfold
If
on.
they don't put her
and
in that
sits in a
weird
chair.
spider throne thing,
Yeah.
what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
But I mean, I will at least give them credit, though, Matt. Don't you think? Like, I understand you're going to say you don't care no matter what, and I get it. But I think that with them tying it to Spider-Man in a way that does not require Tom Holland or actual Spider-Man is better than just like, here's Kraven.
No,
Or
I don't.
here's Morby.
Look, it's perfectly
I-
clever, sure, but I don't trust
To
Sony.
make an effort to connect those dots, I think is
It's perfectly
better than
clever.
not.
I don't think Sony makes good superhero movies. This looks like it's going to be more trash from the algorithm that brought you Craven and Morbius. And
Well, yeah.
honestly, I'd be willing to nerd bet right now south of $40 million opening weekend. I mean, Captain Marvel just opened, and America said we don't want women in superheroes, so nobody went and saw it. You know, like, so this is where we live now. So now, now you're gonna do it with even less popular female superheroes. Go get them, Sony. Go get them. You know? No,
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
It looks like trash.
I would not be surprised if you were right about that.
Yeah, it looks like trash.
I mean,
and
to
don't
say
think
that
anyone's gonna care.
to say that I'm excited is a stretch, but I'll definitely watch it. Like,
I'm gonna watch it. Of course.
yeah, like.
I
Look,
have
man,
to.
I sat through Morbius and I laughed my ass off through the entire thing, and I got a lot of I had a lot of fun making Morbin jokes, you know. So if I can have that same kind of fun with Madam Web and Craven,
No,
sure, why
Madam
not?
Web is before Craven. Is that correct? Do we get Madam Web first and then Craven?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know the release schedule.
Yeah. I have this feeling that Craven is going to, and this is a prediction, Craven gets a bunch of problematic Snyder type bro dude, you know, like push on the internet. Like, this is what we want. Yeah, we want macho, violent dude superhero movie. Yeah. And then none of them go see Craven. And Sony's like, we did it. We got a hit on our hands. And opening weekend for Craven is like, 41 million. You know, like 40.
Oh, you see, he's got a lion tooth on a necklace
Right?
around his neck, and
And
his
then-
shirt's open down
and
to his
poor
navel. He's
Sony,
one of us.
Who was just like, I don't understand. All the kids said they loved Morbius, and nobody actually liked it, and nobody saw it. Like, when are you going to learn, Sony? They're using you. They're using
I think
you.
I think Sony has yet to learn that they loved making fun of Morbius.
Yes.
which is not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. No.
There's got to be some financial incentive though, because just
There is.
you're not going to keep dropping hundreds of millions of dollars on movies that don't make any money. Like there's got to be
Right.
something. So
My understanding is that the rights are like, and this is like whatever they have agreement. If they do not make a Spider-Man reference movie or Spider-Man movie or something like that, the rights probably will fully default at that point.
This is
So they
correct.
have to do something.
This is
at
correct.
This,
They have to
releasing these Spider-Man movies.
They have to keep certain Spider-Man themed things in production, and it's like every
mean-
2.5 years or something like that.
I don't
Yes,
think that.
that's exactly what it is.
I don't know that. I don't know that film rights are necessarily need to be like re-upped that often, though. Not like not like once every couple of years.
Signed this
Often.
contract when they wanted to keep everything and like share with Tom Holland with the Marvel Universe. They put themselves in this position. Marvel and
I
Disney
don't think
went.
you know what the contract
They
says.
went
Matt.
out of their way to make it difficult for them because they thought at that time there was a Sinister Six movie that was coming. There was a Venom movie. There was all like they were spinning off a whole Spidey universe, remember? And then it kind of didn't. And so now
Well, right, but why would? But it would. But Sony is the one that did Disney a favor, not the other way around.
I mean,
Like Sony could have kept churning out their own shit,
they
and
didn't
people
need
would
to
go
do
see
that.
a people would go see a Spider-Man movie no
I
matter
don't
what,
disagree.
whether it's
but
good or
Sony
bad.
put themselves in this position because they thought they had a gold mine with the Spider-Man universe. And now
But they
They
thought
do.
they hit it big with Venom at one point and
Yeah.
then emboldened them even more.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think to Brian's point, I think he's right. Like they didn't just release Morbius in theaters to a resounding sound of crickets. They released Morbius in theaters 2 times.
I don't
You know,
disagree,
like,
but nobody
they-
went.
The second time was kind of ill-advised, though.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like they're getting something from it, right? They're getting something from it. whether
The
it's
tax rights too. Who the hell knows?
whether it's tax incentives or
Something,
you know,
sure,
money on the back end for streaming rights or DVDs, or like Venom is on cable constantly, you know, so like they're making money somewhere, some way. And it's like we talked about when we talked about some weeks ago, we talked about the MCU and how they're struggling and blah blah blah. And Marvel, there was some article that said that I quoted that Marvel understands that box office success is not the only metric for success for their franchises.
Sure.
And that's true for every studio. So there's some reason why they keep doing it, and it's not just because they're afraid of losing Spider-Man. Like, I don't believe that there's a clause in their contract that says if you don't keep making shitty Craven movies.
There is a clause in the contract that they have to crank out Spider-Man stuff to maintain the rights. That is a thing. So
Look it up.
I will.
Look it up because that's ridiculous.
The
Why would
whole thing is they helped. I mean, they made a lot of money. They bought the rights from Marvel, like, because Marvel had nothing. They were bankrupt. So
Right.
Almost 30 years ago, they made 25 whatever years ago, they made this deal and said, sure, we're going to do this. We're going to cut you in on the movies we make. And so when they make the third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, Sony got most of the money for that.
Yeah. Right. Definitely.
Like, it's a Marvel movie, but like they get the money. Like they're on top whether the movies are any good or not. And if they make a movie, they're making two. Madam comes out in February and the other Craven's in August. And if they make a couple $100 million, oh well, I'm sure they sell some like voodoo on digital copies and like all that stuff. Like, people do, they're going to make their money. They're going to sell some toys. They're going to do that stuff. And then eventually either another Tom Holland movie or whoever the next Tom Holland is, they're going to do this until the sun burns out. Like, there's no reason for Sony to get out of the Spider-Man business. So that's why they're doing. And you know what? I mean, if they hit something big, they've made 2 Venoms. I can't believe they made 2 Venoms, but they made enough money in the first one.
They both made money.
They're making a third one. They're making a third one right now.
So, and the third's coming. Yep.
And maybe there's going to be a market for Blue Beetle after the fact, or Craven after the fact, or like there are. I mean, you guys spent 10 minutes talking about Godzilla movies.
Right.
Godzilla movies are fun, but like, they're not good movies. They're not films.
Brian,
they're like great.
Brian,
they're a blast.
you watch your mouth.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's true. Yes. No. I don't.
Frank
turn on.
said Saturday. It was Saturday afternoon. Like, those are those things. Those memories
like
of like
creature feature kind of stuff, right? You watch it because you loved it growing up. You don't watch it because it's like the rich tapestry of the Godzilla verse.
I'm a huge
there is a
Ninja Turtle fan. There is at this point because there's so many of them. Like, agreed. Yeah. And I was like, I'm a Ninja Turtle cartoon fan. Were they good at all? Hell no.
No, hell no.
But they do a thing.
They do very bad.
Yeah, and
these movies also do a thing.
So
they
Sony,
do a thing, and it's good.
Sony has to pay Marvel $10 million for every Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man in quotes, so that's related. They make. Sony and Marvel split the money from actual Spider-Man movie and toys. It was the right decision at the time, at that moment. What Sony didn't realize is part of the clause that they agreed to, they have to have an active project every 2 years or they get to revisit the deal and say,
that's what I remember.
We now have the rights to talk about this legally and take it away from you, unless you're actively working on shit.
Now, here's what I think when I hear that. I don't think revisit the deal necessarily means revisit the film rights to Spider-Man. I think it means revisit the co-parenting rights to Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, no,
which means like
they don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I know that they don't want to have that conversation. But like, if they can, if they have an opportunity because they failed to hold up their end of the bargain, if Disney has the opportunity to come back and make more demands, like we want a bigger piece of the pie, or whatever. Like that could be, which is another conversation they don't want to have.
Yeah, like Fox.
Like they don't want to cede any more ground to Disney.
Fox had the same
but
thing
Disney
with
making
Fantastic Four
Spider-Man
back in the day.
Yeah, but Disney making Spider-Man movies helps Sony, and Sony churning out mediocre Spider-Man spin-off movies also helps Sony. Ugh. So whether they're good or not, whether they break the bank at the box office or not, they're doing them because they're profitable somewhere, somehow, or else they wouldn't be doing them.
All right. Another
And
movie.
who knows what that term of in the works or whatever, because Blade's been in the works for like 11 years.
True.
And who knows
Right.
when that's going to happen.
Right.
So
And
all you
like-
gotta do- Silver Sable was coming out and then wasn't. So
Yeah.
somebody's
Oh
in
my
a
God.
room.
Yeah.
Well, first
Silver
it was
Sable,
Black,
Black
Cat.
first it was
Black and
Black
Silver.
Cat and Silver Sable in one movie.
Right.
Then it
Yeah,
was a
Black
Black
and
Cat
Silver.
movie and a Silver Sable movie. Then it was just a Silver Sable movie.
And look, if spending $50 million on a Craven movie, or whatever the number is,
It'll be more than that.
even so, if Sony
Remember,
gets
they got to pay $1 million to Marvel.
Yeah.
sure,
everyone
all
they
right,
make.
so all right, let's say the budget for Craven is $100 million. They have to pay Disney $10 million. That's $110 million, and then the next Spider-Man movie makes $1 billion. Sony's not mad about that.
They get half
So-
a billion. Yeah, it's a good
like-
deal for them.
The difference between $1 million and $1 billion is mind-boggling.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
They-
So
Do they also have rights to Miles?
it
Sony does. Yeah, and also the cartoons. The Spider-Man cartoons are Sony.
Yep.
Like, so this is
Right.
win-win for them. So,
Right.
and they're going to make these movies
Yes,
like Madam
course.
Web. Who knows what that's going to cost? Maybe $100 million. Maybe If they make
$110 million for Madam
40
Web, $130 million for Craven.
But I mean, even so, a
yeah.
Spider-Man movie
Compared to-
that makes $1 billion.
That's a budget. I mean, like that's a
those-
budget movie for a superhero film, honestly.
But those movies,
not these days, man. Come on.
But spending
No, I'm saying how much
spending $130 million to make $500 million is
Captain
Is
Marvel
math that
was
a
like north of $250
first
million
grader
to
can do.
make, apparently. So
Yeah,
The
Brian makes a
Marvels
good
was-
point too. I was just gonna say, Brian makes a good point. They have the rights to Spider-Verse. So if churn out these little piddly crap movies is what it takes for them to maintain the rights to do Spider-Verse, the
Oh,
money
yeah,
they're
then
making
it's
on
worth it.
Spider-Verse movies alone. So let's just look at Craven and Madam Web as lost leaders.
yeah, no, totally.
Right.
It's the stuff they put in front when you walk into Walmart and
They're-
you're like, oh,
They're
$2
basically an indie
screwdriver.
movie
You know?
studio. They're an indie movie studio that makes big budget movies with Marvel.
Yeah.
Right? They make these movies that, like, the Marvels was 200, according to IMDb, $220 million.
Mhm.
And it made, it's grossed worldwide 117. Like,
Not
I don't
looking
know.
good right now.
Yeah.
not looking good. So,
Yeah.
like, that's,
But it is the highest. Like I just read something today that it's like the highest grossing movie of all time for a female-led superhero. Like there's something I don't remember which milestone they were celebrating, but there are things about the Marvels to celebrate.
Yeah, that's kind of like that Tina Fey movie where she was a news reporter and she was like, here it is, the first woman allowed to drive in Iran. And she like puts the car in reverse and backs into another car. Right? It's like, oh, she's like, that didn't look good. That didn't come out
the
good.
very famous. There's a very famous saying: "A rising tide floats all boats."
Sure.
And a tide will rise whether you put a yacht in the water or whether you put a 10-ton boulder in the water.
Oh, it was the highest grossing black female directed film is what it was.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, I wish it were making more money, but
I do too. I
Damn.
mean, yes, I wish it was.
I'm gonna go see it tonight.
Are you going to go
Right.
tonight?
I'm
You're
trying
gonna
to see
love it.
tomorrow. So.
you're gonna
I
love
only-
it, JD. Matt, if
I'm
you don't see
looking
the
forward to
Marvels
it.
this week, I swear to God, I'm breaking up with you.
Can't look. I got an AEW pay per view tonight. I got football all day tomorrow. Like I got stuff going on, man. All right, I'm a
Can
gambler.
prioritize, man.
I got to clean the house while I
Marvels was
gamble.
awesome.
That's hard. Okay.
Throwing in my 2 cents.
Pedro Pascal was Fantastic Four.
Whoa. Hold on. Somebody just said they wanted to throw their 2 cents in. Who was that?
Oh, that was me.
It was Nate. He's just very quiet.
What do you got, Nate?
I just said the Marvels was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it was.
I plan on
did
going. I
you
just
did
haven't
you
had
take did your kids go?
Took my kids and my wife, and we haven't laughed that much since Ragnarok.
Nice.
At a Marvel
Nice.
movie.
Hell
I
yeah,
mean,
dude.
Nice.
It was, laugh out loud, wet yourself funny.
I want to see the Florgan kittens.
I'm planning on going,
Yes.
and I'm excited. I just haven't had time.
I smiled from ear to ear the entire time I watched that movie.
All right, let's jump to Mr.
Yeah.
Fantastic news. Pedro Pascal.
alleged Mr.
Alleged.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Alleged, yes.
Not confirmed through
Zany?
any
No.
major
No confirmation
thing
whatsoever.
yet. Not confirmed.
And even
No.
he
No.
isn't saying
Some
shit.
guy on Twitter.
So, I mean, whatever. But what,
Yeah,
what do we
it's
think?
fine. I'm fine with it. I love Pedro Pascal.
I mean,
If it's true, I'm good with that. Yeah.
I
have
like
no
him,
issue.
and like I said on Discord, if they pick him, great. I do feel like there's a lot of Pedro Pascal out there right now.
What
Why
if?
Did they take a 2023 celebrity thing, Mad Libs, and just pull his name out of a hat?
Kind of.
It's
Yeah.
the most
Kind
generic answer you could think of.
Frank,
Yeah.
what were you going to say? You said what if?
I was going to say, what if this is a misleading, article, and it's actually Doctor Doom he's going to play.
I could see that too, actually.
I can see.
I'd be fine with
I would be
Pascal as
behind.
Doom, but I don't know if Pascal, do you spend that much money on a guy that you're going to put in a mask? Did we learn that
they already
lesson with the
did.
Green
He's been
Goblin
doing-
back in the day? I don't know.
I'm already mad about Doctor Doom not having his mask on the whole time in the movie because they're going to do that, and that's going to make me insane.
I
But
guarantee they're gonna do that.
I mean,
I hate that drives me nuts.
They took the hottest guy that was on television at the time for that first Fantastic Four movie, and they kept him out of the mask for 90% of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, but to be fair,
Well, but,
his
isn't
country
Peter
hadn't
Pascal
given
in a
him that
mask for
mask
Mandalorian?
as
I was
the
about to say,
award.
yeah.
You know,
in a helmet, yeah.
Yeah, Well, one of the reasons he was the Mandalorian though is because he didn't have to film a lot of it. He just did the voice for a lot of it,
Which is okay too. Yeah, which is okay
Yeah.
too.
Hey,
because that's
buddy,
Doom.
you know what? If you can show up in sweats, if you can show up to the studio, to ILM or wherever they record Skywalker Sound in sweats and record,
Oh, for sure.
and then walk out of there with $1 million to go for it.
That's why you
Get-
see these
get it.
celebrity voice casts on all these animated films because they're like,
Yeah.
easy that money is. I mean, come on.
Yes, Todd, 100%. Give him the mask, but don't make his lips move like Ultron. Don't
No.
make metal masks move.
Fight
Don't
that
do
urge.
it.
Fight that urge.
No.
In fact, I'll even
Now, the only place I will accept it is if it's a steel situation and his suit is like, nanobots or whatever.
or made of chocolate like it looks in the movie or whatever.
Yeah,
I already scored that with Doom.
if
No
I'll
good.
buy that steel's armor is malleable, that's fine.
I suppose.
Everybody else, no.
I'm fine with go back to the old school animated Spider-Man Doctor Doom where he had the mouth that lit up when he talked, the lips didn't move and it just it's like,
I'm good with that.
"Hurt you,
I think he should
Spider-Man."
vomit
remember-
Kirby crackle every time he opens his mouth. He should just spew Kirby
Oh, yeah,
crackle.
that'd be actually kind of cool.
Like atomic fire.
I remember I just had a random thought of the Fantastic Four cartoon when he was having dinner with Sue Storm, and then he a little metallic straw came up, and a little slot in his map opened up, and he just sipped on it. So yeah, I want to see that.
Okay,
I'll be okay.
I'm
with
okay
you know what?
if you do a thing where it's like he's eating and his back is turned and the helmet is next to him and they're like, Lord Doom, we're sorry
Well,
to
sure,
disturb
because
your
that's
meal.
how you
You're like,
tease.
"Oh, gosh,
That's
how dare
that's a
you,"
classic Doom tease. It's like, ooh,
Yeah,
I dare not look. Like you're seeing something forbidden. Ooh.
Yeah, fine with that. But I don't want a good-looking guy who's like, by day, he's just the Latvian scientist who works with the UN, but by night, he's the evil Dr. Doom. No. Don't
Yeah,
do
the
that.
IT guy Tony Doom.
Yeah.
And then he puts on a helmet at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Vic, I'm Vic Doom. Vinny, it's me, Vinny Doom from IT. Have you tried turning it on and turning it off again?
No,
Hey,
I would
Dr.
be okay.
Richards, your machine isn't working.
I'd be okay with Pascal. I was kind of hoping it would be someone a little younger and maybe a little less known,
thing
like you're
of-
giving someone a shot, But
Yeah, I
I think
that
they're going for something specific though with the Fantastic Four and the age thing. I actually don't think they want to have young people.
I mean, I want kind of aged
Supe.
Reed Richards, with graying temples,
Yeah.
kind of like Reed Richards. That's how he should be in my mind. Not
I like that too, but you can't do Sue 20 years old after that,
yeah.
That's the thing, I guess.
Right.
So.
They're going to do that, but it's going to be like, oh,
Really
we were
gross,
in
yeah.
college. It's like, you're a creep.
Yeah.
You're a
Well, but I
total
mean,
creep.
in the comics, if you look at the comics,
it's
and I
creepy.
don't know that this is something that has ever been retconned, but Dr. Reed Richards met Sue when she was a child. Like he was a boarder
that's
at
true.
their house or something. And so
Yep.
like he knew her from when she was in high school and he was well into like
Fully groomed her.
his master's program or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, like I think that with the Fantastic Four, with the exception of maybe Johnny, you can get away with people that don't necessarily look like they could do a standing black flip, like Tom Holland. You know what I mean? I think you can get away with people that look like they spend most of their time in a lab. The thing obviously is all CGI, so that doesn't matter. But
Right.
Or they foam him up like Michael Chiklis.
Oh, I hope so.
Don't be cowards.
Oh, I hope so. Or they just like literally like glue styrofoam onto a guy like they did in the Roger Corman movie. You know?
Yeah. The most important thing to me though is that Reed and Victor are the same age.
Yes,
because they were college roommates or college, not roommates, but contemporaries.
agreed. They need to be the same
So,
age. Definitely.
yeah. So don't cast a hot Reed Richards and an old Dr. Doom. Just like don't do it.
Yeah, fight that urge.
I mean, if they did an old Reed and like a younger, really like
he's
egotistical
a protege or
Doom.
something?
Yeah, I'd be okay with, he's like at 28 and then Doom's
Young
like,
Sheldon as Dr. Doom.
Yeah, no, something like,
listen, as long as he's in the helmet, I don't care. Put anyone in the helmet.
yeah, an evil Doogie Howser type situation.
Richard. Right.
Well, as long as he doesn't sound like Bane, right?
Yeah, I fight that urge too. Fight that urge. Like I want him to have maybe some Eastern. I think he should have some Eastern European thing going on because he's from Latveria, sure, but don't make it.
You will rule the day that you cross to me, Richard.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fight that urge, please. No, I think they should Yellowstone it too. Like two actors, one's the old version, one's a young version. Like you've got.
Yeah.
Why not?
So Todd is posting some stuff in the chat. He thinks that it might be a period piece. The costumer is known for doing two big movies set in the 80s. And I think that might fit the theory we've had for a long time now, where the Fantastic Four appear in the Marvel Universe out of the negative zone. And they're like, what did we miss? And so I'd be fine with the Fantastic Four movie explaining like how they got lost.
Totally.
Right?
Or it's like they do the thing where like we were gone for 5 seconds, but on Earth it was 35 years.
40 years.
Like whatever. Right. Yeah.
Hell, 1961.
Yeah.
Said it during the time of FF1. They've been gone for 70 years.
Do it.
Is Pedro Pascal doing another 80s period piece superhero movie?
He is doing Gladiator 2. He has to do that first.
Well, because don't forget, he was in Wonder Woman too.
Yes, he was.
And that was in
Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
It's got 80s right there. 80s right there in the title.
That was Kirby and Burns' work on the big screen. Hell yeah. And then apparently, in this same rumor as Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby from Hobbs and Shaw as Sue, she's 15 years younger than him.
She's also
the guy that played Micro in the Punisher series on Netflix. He's also Cousin on The Bear.
Yeah, he's great.
Is in the running to play Ben Grimm. And then Eddie Munson from Stranger Things as Johnny. And so, like, I'm fine with that cast if that's what ends up being true.
See, I just think this sounds like such bullshit, like internet fan
it's
casting.
Fan casting, right?
Yeah,
and I don't believe a damn thing until I see it.
This is right out of the Wizard fan
or
cast,
by Marvel or whatever.
BS of the '90s would be
right. How many? Like, which role is Howie Long playing?
Right.
That was the
Howie Long as a nihilist.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he's definitely a nihilist.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Quick question. Let me throw this out there. I've never seen Wonder Woman 84 because of all the negative reviews. Should I waste my time and watch it at least one time?
I mean,
watch it. It's worth watching.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like a fun
worth
watch.
watching one time.
Don't go into it. Yeah, thinking it's like it's going to blow your mind.
And don't think about the plot too hard.
With your kids, it's like it's not, if your kids watch the first Wonder Woman,
and don't expect
it's
the big.
It's got a lot of really stupid problems.
Don't expect the big chrome wing thing to like be anything special at all.
It means nothing.
That moment in the trailer where she sloughs off those wings like a cocoon, like a caterpillar sloughs off its cocoon. is the only reason that they're there.
Literally, it was like a movie poster. We were like, "Oh my god, look at this armor!" And she's like, she flies in. She goes, "Get this off me!" All right, time to be Wonder Woman.
The movie posters do kick ass.
The movie posters.
The posters for Wonder Woman 84 are like
they were. I would argue
dreams.
they were the best part of the movie. Quite honestly.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, let's.
But
switch
yeah, it's
to
worth
DC
it's
movies.
worth watching, Frank.
Let's talk DC movies. We got a bad guy, an adversary, not necessarily a villain,
or an antagonist.
an
right?
antagonist
for
for Superman in The Engineer from The Authority.
Wild.
Which
I didn't see that coming.
I can't say I saw that coming either. That is a curveball. How do we?
I wonder if other people in the Authority will also be in it, and we just haven't seen their casting yet.
Maybe, but Gunn is just saying The Engineer. So maybe they're introducing the idea of the Authority or something in this. But
well, Gunn's not going to say anything until someone's cast in a role.
I suppose. But are we upset that it's not one of the big super baddies that we haven't seen yet? Like, there's a whole line of Superman nemesis that we've never seen in films. Brainiac.
Nah, I think that, like with the Fantastic Four movie, which I think will not be about Doctor Doom. I think Doctor Doom is teased for a future role. I think that they can do the same thing in Superman. Introduce it so that Superman's the story. Superman's the main story that we're introducing, the main draw, and then we're opening the door to these brand new concepts for Muggles. Let's remember, we're not giving he's not planning on giving them the story that they already know. They're like, no, look at this. There's this character called the Engineer who tries to, force what she thinks is the right thing on, societies or whatever.
I do think there's something to be said for him taking a chance on a character like that too, instead of doing that. Yep, time to make the Brainiac movie, or yep, time to make the Mr. Mxyzptlk movie, or whatever.
We
want to see that.
We already know that they're making an Authority movie, right?
Yeah.
He announced that day one. So this is not completely unheard of. And I wonder if, and this is, I'm not a, person who speculates about stuff like this a lot, but I'm hoping that he's kind of stacking the deck with castings. I'm in for the long run. My track record.
Right.
You can trust me. You don't need a premiere movie right away. I want to get you booked and introduce you as this person, and then you're in my 10-year plan.
Yeah.
We're going to, and so because we've got Metamorpho and we've got if you look at all the characters that have been cast and announced so far, there's not a cohesive story there. And I don't think we need one. I think I'd rather see Superman comes to this new world and there's already a world there. There's already heroes and he is now there. And we see a huge variety. There's Blue Beetle for 1 minute,
right.
And this is kind of the thing that Marvel hasn't done in years, where they, every opportunity to throw us Ghost Rider for 90 seconds.
Yes.
But they don't do it.
It's the same complaint.
You look at
Spider-Man. We never got to see Spider-Man being Spider-Man, doing Spider-Man stuff. He's just in New York and, the Sandman's being a jerk. Let me take care of that real quick. Little things. Come on.
Yeah, right. The thing, and so build the world around them. We know they're doing it. If he hadn't said we're doing an Authority movie, this would be what are they doing?
Yeah,
and then I'd be more nervous about a villain. But the Authorities are. It's always perspective. They are left-wing fascists, right?
Yeah.
They came in and they said, we are in charge because you're fucking this up,
right?
And you. This is, Gamora is doing this thing. The world can't stop them. We have to stop them. This foreign, interdimensional Britain is coming to take us over. They've terrorized their world. They're not going to do that here. We're going to stop them.
Right.
And that is fascistic. And that's what, it's and Ellis always thought it was funny that people love them as heroes when they're kind of not heroes, depending on the way you look at them. But they are when they're helping people and they're giving them, things like food and medicine.
Housing refugees.
Housing refugees. So the idea that the Authority to Superman can seem hey, he's a rule follower, and they definitely don't follow the rules, right? And that's kind of the the edginess of them and their story of like, hey man, you're not getting the job done. We're going to do it. And he's like, hey, hold on. Let's talk about it. You know, because that's his whole shtick.
And a young Superman can also be very naive.
Well,
right. To the ways of the world. Like that's kind of the point of a young Superman. And, you know, where he's like, he's maybe a little too trusting of people in authority, not the authority, but you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Politicians or whatever. Right. And, so, you know, like, and so to see somebody come out with a great deal of power and just go, nope, it's my way, then yeah, I can see how he would automatically think that that's bad.
That and the meta aspect of it, like for all the fans are like, who cares? Superman, who cares? He's outdated. He's blah, blah, blah. And like, you're right. Yeah, you know what? And the authority, they're badass and they're doing the thing like they're for you. And you can learn, but hey, maybe they are kind of left-wing fascists, you guys. You know, like maybe Superman does have some very, you know, good points and he is a hero and we do need this character. The authority is a good way to sort of tell that meta story of like, yeah, he's the big blue Boy Scout. He's old. He's from the Golden Age. But he still applies. He's still Superman and we still friggin' need him. You know?
Right. Like what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way? It's like one of the best Superman stories ever written.
Yeah.
But, and so, but I mean, like Superman also exists in a world where the United States government hires faceless soldiers to infiltrate companies without due process and assassinate people.
Sure.
So,
the Suicide Squad,
right. Yep. And so it's, there needs to be like a lesson there. There needs to be some sort of like the authority won't be just villains, obviously.
No, they're going to do something they're going to do a good thing the wrong way in Superman's eyes.
Or they're going to do the necessary thing.
Right.
And it's going to look very ugly.
Remember the Superman versus the Authority story where like it started with like the Authority went to Middle Eastern country but had iron-fisted despot and they like pulled him out of his office, threw him down in front of the people he's been oppressing. Those people murdered him and then they like took all the you know aid that was sent from other countries and dispersed it, and Superman showed up and was like, you can't just do this. Like you're creating a different power vacuum if you just show up and like murder a guy. Like what have you done? And they're like, you're the idiot. You could have flown in here and done the same thing and you didn't. You know, and he like
it's like
if we're
there's
getting
a story.
An authority movie.
Yeah,
I was just going to say if we're getting an authority movie, I suggest Jenny Sparks is played by Jenna Coleman, based solely on her Johanna Constantine performance in Sandman.
Yeah, absolutely, love it.
It's a good one.
So it's like there's one of the first stories. This was back in Stormwatch, and it was before Stormwatch Black became the Authority. There were those characters that showed up that were just like performing global changes without consent or authorization, and
the changers.
Yeah, and so it was like the engineer, like the earlier engineer, Apollo and Midnighter may have been part of that, or that might have been something else. But there was another character called. But anyway, they were like going into like arid African countries and creating, you know, lush gardens, you know, and like food to feed, you know, hundreds, thousands, and millions of people, and it's like that all sounds really great on paper, but there are also implications, like there are other things to consider, you know, like you can't just go in and make a unilateral decision.
Right.
Like you
unintended consequences.
Exactly.
Right. Unintended consequences. Like, yes, but like, and then the second, like what happens the second you stop paying attention, the garden dies, you know? And it's like, so like, there's that kind of thing. And I think that's where a lot of the meat would be, it would be good to draw from that sort of thing. In a story where Superman meets the Authority, it's like, well, what do you do when you've taken down this dictator? Are you going to run the country 24/7?
Right.
You can't keep flying around shooting machine gun hands.
That's what he basically said to him. Like, if you show up and blow every bad guy's head off, you're still the person that is blowing people's heads off, and that's all you're doing. Like, you're not.
And you don't think the guy, you don't think the guy that runs, you don't think the guy that's going to run the show when you're gone isn't going to end up being just like the guy you shot?
Right.
Like,
and then your answer is to blow his head off too? Like, when does this end?
Yeah, and so I think there's a lot of meat on that bone, but yeah, I think it's great. I think it's kind of cool that they're doing the engineer.
I think it's gutsy, and I like it.
And that actress, she's from Deadly Class. If you haven't watched that, and she is fantastic, fantastic.
And if you didn't watch Deadly Class, you missed. That show was excellent. It was so good.
I think it's on Peacock.
I believe it is.
I think it's still on Peacock.
Yeah, it still is.
Worth a watch.
If you didn't watch Deadly Class, then it's your fault that we don't have it anymore.
It is.
Thanks a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm mad at you.
Well, I didn't have sci-fi then, so because I didn't have cable. So
fair.
I understand. Like some things are beyond your control. Some things are beyond your control. Speaking of the Authority, okay.
You're gonna spoil this? You're gonna spoil it for everybody?
This is a kind of a wild turn. What do you think I'm going to talk about?
I thought you were talking about what happened this week to the Authority in comics.
I don't know what happened to the Authority this week in comics.
You read the issue it happened in?
Talking about the Outsiders?
The Outsiders.
I'm talking about the Outsiders. The Authority wasn't in the Outsiders comic.
Something happened to him in the Outsiders comic. Do you want me to spoil it?
No,
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay. I won't spoil it.
No, Matt. Matt is telling stories out of school. The Authority does not. Up? The Authority does not appear in.
You're right.
The Outsiders. We do see something.
Yes.
We do see references to a couple of characters that are no longer with us. We already knew that they were no longer with us, like Jenny Sparks and Axel Brass. But without saying anything else, if you are a fan of Planetary, you will absolutely want to read Outsiders because it is basically Planetary. It's Planetary plus DC, like in a very literal way. I don't mean like inspired by Planetary. I mean it is Planetary. Say that again.
Saying you want to read it versus saying we'll like reading it are two different things.
I think you'll like it. I thought it was great.
Okay.
I mean, so like consider. It'll depend on how you feel about how precious you are about things that you like that you know would never normally be revisited, like Watchmen, right? And everybody thought, well, we'll never, like, Watchmen is a sacrosanct thing. It's this, sacred tome that we hold up. And then all of a sudden DC was like, well, what if we found out what happened before they were Watchmen? And then what if Dr. Manhattan had a fist fight with Superman? That's bad. But Planetary is something that, like, it's going to be its own thing. It's its own contained thing. It remains unblemished, and
really, this is playing off like The Bleed and stuff,
But the Outsiders comic has very specific references to actual Planetary, the organization Planetary.
Oh yeah.
And so you posted that I would like it, and that inspired me to go back and reread the original Planetary.
Hey,
one of the things that I love about the original Planetary is it technically takes place in the Wildstorm universe. I mean, they make reference to Jenny Sparks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to know any of that crap to enjoy it. And that's why when you posted it in Discord, I asked, how caught up do I have to be on DC to enjoy this?
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
I mean, as far as issue 1 is concerned, not at all. Like, here's what you need to know in order to enjoy the Outsiders #1. Even if you don't know what Planetary is, like, you don't need to know what Planetary is. You'll have a more enriched experience if you do, but if you don't, you'll be fine. The things you need to know before you read. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was hoping that, like, I could read it and not have to know who the current Robin is.
No,
or something like that.
The list. There are 2 items on the list of things that you need to be not even really know, but be aware of when you read Outsiders #1. 1, there is somebody called Batwoman, and 2, there's somebody called Lucius Fox, and he's got kids. That's it.
Okay.
Everyone knows who Lucius Fox is, and he's in all the movies.
Yeah. So he was played by Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, right? And so that's it. Freeman. That's all you need to know. So yeah, it's great. It's great,
It was
and
a
it
good
leans
time.
very, very heavily on Wildstorm stuff.
I was very skeptical going in,
specifically,
and I enjoyed
specifically planetary. The art is fantastic.
It looks great.
That guy Robert Carey is very good.
Very good. It's very good.
So yeah, highest recommendation. I'll be. I mean, there's no show next week because it's Thanksgiving week. So I'll miss reviewing it. So I'm telling you now, my review is buy it. It's good.
It's good stuff. And Brian, after you read it, I'd like to talk to you about it because, like, I don't know, I can't even bring up what I want to talk about without possibly spoiling something. So I'm not going to.
Right? All right, but
no. I think we've said enough to whet people's appetites. But
I'll say this: I got a DC Infinite subscription.
Yeah, in a month or two, it'll be there. You can read it.
Yeah, so you can talk to me too, Matt, if you want, or if you don't, that's fine.
I just don't want to spoil it. But no, we'll talk on Discord. We'll get on.
We'll put a pin in this. We'll put a pin in it, and we'll circle back to it when it comes out for you guys, when you guys get access to it. But yeah, but even if you're not a fan of Wildstorm stuff, Outsiders #1 is very good. So check it out. It's a very cool concept. I like it very much.
Okay, we got a couple minutes
and
left.
John Cassidy did a variant cover.
And that's true. And that's all he should be doing is covers at this point.
It's so weird. It's so weird that they were like, yeah, we've got this very like cerebral action, yeah, but it's not a superhero book, you know. It's all about like history and stuff. Let's get Roger Cruz to do the main cover. It's a very weird choice.
I mean, yeah, but it's not bad. The main cover's fine.
I mean, it's flashy. Like, look, I'm not like taking anything against. I'm nothing against the cover. It's just
I like Roger Cruz.
Like cover B is by Christian Ward. If that tells you anything,
well,
like
sure.
They're so disparate.
Yeah, Roger Cruz is back. He's I don't know where he's been, but he's done a lot. He did a bunch of.
I wish he'd take over the Flash. I wish he'd take over the Flash from Mike Diaz.
Yeah,
I thought issue 2 was pretty good.
I told you this was going to happen.
I
told you guys, and everyone's like, I don't know.
Look, I like it. It's just like I struggle a little bit. I struggle a little bit with the Deodato-ness of it all.
I like the story, but
but the story is good. The story is good enough, and the art is also good enough that I'm enjoying myself.
It's a lot of Deodato.
Something else. Mark Stern read Daredevil, this week's Daredevil, and it was partially drawn by Aaron Cooter and then partially drawn by another guy whose name I did not know. And he was like, I'd love to see these guys take on the Flash, and they would be great. Like Aaron Cooter would be a great Flash artist.
Oh yeah, Cooter's great. So,
but we're doing a thing. We're doing the weird stuff now with the weird magical mystery tour.
It's weird. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's
not bad.
Whatever.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's weird. I don't know.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off came out yesterday on Netflix. The anime adaptation of Scott Pilgrim.
I've not watched it yet.
And I've watched all 8 episodes. They're half an hour long. It flies by. And let me tell you, it is wonderful. And I won't say anything else about it.
Okay.
Because that's
what everybody said. It's that
to describe it any further would be delving into spoiler territory that you will be mad about being spoiled on.
It deviates from the book, though?
No comment.
Whatever. Why bring it up? Great. Cool story, Joe. Thanks.
I'm just telling you, it's good. Like, look, man.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say, yes, it deviates from the book. I mean, you haven't told me anything.
Well, that might be well, like I said, I just want to find out for myself.
Okay.
So thank you, Joe.
Please find out for yourself. I mean, okay, yeah. Is it a strict beat for beat? Like, episode 1 is a very close adaptation of the story found in the first graphic novel and the movie. Partially part of the movie because it's only the first book. Does it deviate? Sure. Let's say yes.
Okay.
I saw a clip of a little bit of it, and the dialogue's different. Like it feels
like they make changes to the dialogue, to make it more like timely.
It just there's because it's like him and Wallace. It's Scott Pilgrim and Wallace, and they're like chatting about something, and it's like, oh, this is not. It's like an alternate dimension version of it. Like the voices are literally the same, and they're like kind of the dynamics the same, but it's like, oh, this is not exactly the same thing, and that's the only you can't do a beat for beat thing. And I did hear vaguely of what the new what a slightly different situation is, and it's intriguing. So I'm looking forward to getting into it, because I was like, I don't know, I'll get to it when I get to it. I have a lot of TV to watch, but someone said it's quick.
It's just the sort of thing that you can watch. Like, you could watch like an episode or two a day, and it passes the time, and it goes by fast. I binged it in one afternoon because I was so hooked by it. But yeah, so here, okay, here's a specific example.
Let's not say anything else though. If there's something there,
I just want to speak to what Brian was talking about the dialogue. There's a specific scene with a scene in the first book and in the movie where Scott meets Ramona in real life for the first time. Like, he sees her in his dream,
right? And
then he meets her at the party, and he slides up next to her. And in the comic, I don't even remember what he says. It doesn't matter. But in the show, he starts talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and about how funny it is that in the 90s there were two Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons that were on at the exact same time, and one of them was super action-packed and serious, and the other one was wild and zany, but the same actor played both Sonics. And isn't that crazy? The same guy playing two different versions of one character. Ha ha ha. Like, it's this very meta joke.
Hey-o.
And so, like, that's one, like, it obviously something that's totally unique to the show is that he makes a joke about how Michael Cera is playing the cartoon version of the movie character of the comic book. It's that kind of stuff where they make little changes.
Gotcha. They're updating.
And it's super duper good.
That's fun.
It's super good. The animation is great. The music kicks ass.
Hey, we got 3 minutes left, and Frank brought it up, and I think it's worth talking about because it doesn't affect me at all. Comixology is going away. It's just Kindle.
Yes, Frank. Gamera is a friend to all children.
How do we feel?
Yes.
Well, okay, so like I said, I started rereading Planetary, and I have it digitally. So I pulled it up in the Comixology, or not in the Comixology. I pulled it up in my Kindle app on my tablet. And I will say, structurally, reading-wise, accessing your existing library is pretty seamless, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's just like pulling up any other book you would on your Kindle app.
So it hasn't changed, or is that better than what it was? Like, is it an improvement or no change?
Well, I mean, it's somewhat an improvement if you're totally in the Kindle ecosystem, and so now everything's in one place.
Right.
Now, I think the major downfall is going to be trying to buy books and find books, because now you have to go into the Kindle app or onto Amazon. There's no storefront anymore.
There's no just like straight up comics storefront?
No.
Really?
Yeah, that's been gone.
Not after.
You can't buy anything on Kindle.
Yeah, so you'll have to go.
You can't even do it directly.
You have to go to Amazon to buy a Kindle.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so
to buy
stupid.
a digital comic.
Oh my god, it's like
it was the same. But you know what? It was the same thing. It was the same thing with Audible, where you couldn't buy books directly through the Audible app. You had to go to audible.com and buy them.
Stupid.
But you can now.
And
I do it.
I think now they've changed it, but back in the day when I first signed up for Audible, you had to go to audible.com if you wanted to spend your credits or buy a book.
No, not anymore.
And it's that sort of thing. It's that sort of similar thing.
It's a legal thing.
Comics. Yeah.
One of the things that they keep blaming Google because it has something to do with the way that the Google commerce, with their apps deals with individual state taxes and things like that. That's what they keep pointing at. Right. But I just think Amazon didn't want to paying for two virtual environments, essentially two digital environments.
Yeah, I guarantee that's part.
That's a lot of server space. That's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of IT upkeep.
That's also like you have two divisions doing the same thing. You've got you're doubling people's jobs at that point. So why can't we just pay one person to do one job in one place?
Now, did I get this right when I was reading it? It said that if you are an Amazon Prime account holder, then the certain books will be available to quote borrow.
If you're Kindle Unlimited, if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber,
it was the same. If you had Comixology Unlimited, they're basically merging Comixology Unlimited and Kindle Prime and Kindle Unlimited into one
I haven't tried that yet.
I used
They
to
have what's called Prime Reading.
Yeah. Now
Prime Reading has a limited number of stuff. Kindle Unlimited is just more options.
Right. Now, I used to be a Comixology Unlimited subscriber, and I canceled it when the app started getting squirrely and I couldn't get stuff anymore. I'll be curious to see what's available to Prime Reading now.
It sounds like a mess. This just sounds like a mess and a pain in the ass.
I have some Marvel and DC stuff.
Man. And they're not doing themselves a favor when you have a Marvel Unlimited and you've got DC Infinite, which is literally just like sign up and you can buy the stuff or wait and here it is, and they just do it all within one app and it's super easy. I mean, sure, you can only read Marvel and DC, but I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors, Kindle.
Well, and also you're buying things from two different apps. You're buying your Marvel books from one app and your DC books from another, whereas with Comixology, you were buying all your books from one app.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I'm frustrated with is with Comixology shitting the bed like this. That's why I'm so kind of kind of pissed off at Distillery, is because, and other groups like it. Like, I mean, I tried looking at some other like Omnibus and Supe and stuff like that, and number one, they're all very like early stages. Two, some of them don't even do Android. They're iOS only, panels and other things, which pisses me off too, because it's just, we don't have that singular voice in digital comics anymore, which we learned from Diamond, singular voice in any kind of distribution is not great.
Right.
But
I mean I think the argument against that would have been like, well, then let's have another app that's like Comixology, but has different offerings or whatever, or a different experience, but offers the same service. Rather than let's dismantle Comixology and make everyone's lives more difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
My optimal would be one marketplace where you could buy CBZ files and then read it on whatever app you want.
Yes.
That would be great.
Obviously. Yeah. I mean,
so if you could have stores, digital stores, like I would love to go to legendcomics.com and buy CBZ files.
Absolutely. And give Legend Comics like a pittance of that sale, because they used your code or whatever, I mean, like,
and Comixology tried to do that. I don't know if you guys remember, but they tried to do that Comixology storefront thing where people could buy. They're buying their comics on Comixology through their comic shop.
Right.
I remember
that. I mean, I think it was kind of a disaster, and I think it went away pretty fast. But like there was a time where they did make a go at that, but again, you've got to get retailers on board with that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's sell digital comics, blah,
and it's probably much more in, I mean, it's like the big two or any larger company to just have your own app where you make all the money and you control it. And now we're back in that TV streaming where it's like, oh, you want to buy a candy bar? Yeah, just buy the whole machine. And then you can have that candy bar whenever you want it. Like, oh, but I want this candy bar too. No problem. Just buy this candy machine too. And now, like, I've got a room full of goddamn candy machines. I just wanted a Snickers bar.
Yeah, but you can stop paying for any of those candy machines anytime you want.
That's true.
Versus a cable subscription where you have to buy all the candy machines.
Sure.
And you're locked in for for however long.
It's two different curses.
Well, and canceling it and canceling it takes away all your candy.
It's like they want you to steal it. It's almost like they're begging you.
I wasn't gonna say anything about an easy way to get CBZs that you can read on any app you want on your iPad, but there is one.
But I mean, let's be real. Are they pretending like they're not competing against this? Do they really think like, oh, well, there's just, some people that are so good-hearted that they will put up with all this bullshit to get their comics because it's the right thing to do? Come on. Make it easy.
No, I do think there's something to be said for the idea that if you give people a way to easily support your product legally, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, that's why I like Substack. That's why I like Substack.
Stop making it so fucking difficult.
And pretending like it's not easy to steal it. I mean, like, you can't pretend like it's not. Fix it, you guys. Come on.
But like I'm trying to say on Substack, I know when I pay Kelly Thompson for the Cole #4, Kelly Thompson's getting that money.
Right. Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
Right.
Or when I pay James Tynion for the Frankenstein kid book, you know.
Sure.
Kid Frankenstein.
He's getting that money. You know, that I love that. That's what I think Substack was onto something, and I know everyone's kind of derided it, and it's kind of lost its momentum because a lot of the creators are dropping off because they don't have the grant money anymore. But
yeah, Substack
still
they
really
overspent.
good infrastructure.
They overspent quite a bit. It was like when Spotify was throwing money around at podcasts, thinking like we're gonna make millions of dollars on podcasts.
Yeah,
and like, hey, Joe Rogan, here's $1 billion. Do your racist podcast, or whatever. Substack was doing the same thing. They went out and they literally poached all these creators, saying we're gonna build, this whole new market. It's gonna be just for you guys. And then they went, oh shit, we're not making anything on it. Enough of that. Thanks.
I'll be curious to see what happens with like Ghost Machine and what's the other one? The
Giant Generator.
Giant
Generator. I'll be curious to see if they like. I know Ghost Machine and Giant Generator are working with Image, but I'll be curious to see if they work out some other way.
Remender just put out a statement saying that Image doesn't do, like, they get nothing. Like, I mean, there must be something that they get.
What do you mean?
I mean, essentially Remender's statement was Image has no say. They have no stake. Everything we do at Giant Generator is because we want to do it, and every time you buy a Giant Generator comic, it directly supports Giant Generator. We make all the creative decisions. Nobody's telling us what to do.
So Image
is a publishing partner.
Okay.
Image is but that's always what Image has been.
Right.
Always from the very start.
Yeah, they
So
take a percentage.
Image, right? Exactly, Brian. They are a distributor, and so like Image is not out there like. They might be inviting creators to come work with them. They might be, making the decision like of who to publish and who not to publish. But Image is not calling the shots on anybody's book.
No,
ever.
No.
Right. Once they greenlight a book, it's theirs. It's the creators to do with.
Well, it's like an indie record label. Like they're gonna help you get it printed, get it pressed, and do all that. But they don't tell you, hey, we don't like track number 8.
Right.
Like that's.
Right.
Yes. You need a new bassist. It's like go find a bass player. Like that's not their job.
They're a label, not a producer.
So that. Yeah.
It's nice that the Substack thing. Like I'm sure that was great. That seemed like a great idea, and I don't have much experience with it at all. But I understand that people thought it was good, and it worked for people. Like Kelly Thompson has obviously done a lot with Substack, and there are a lot of creators that do as well. But you have to. Kelly Thompson has to like chase after people to sign up for her Substack, right? She's got to be constantly self-promoting. And all independent creators have to constantly self-promote.
Well, sure, but
there's something to be said for being Rick Remender or for being, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank and all those other Ghost Machine guys, like.
Or even working with an Image Comics that has an ad.
They have the clout. They have the clout that they can also now stand behind the clout that Image has.
Right.
Which, kind of puts them a leg ahead in the race, versus these Substack people who are just like they're like constantly grinding on their own. Substack doesn't do anything to help them, right?
No, it's OnlyFans for comics.
Substack
is what it is.
It's Blogspot.
Essentially,
it's
Blogspot, Live Journal,
right?
But but now you've got all your favorite writers, instead of working at Image together, there's 25 different emails you have to sign up for. It's
exactly.
Like, I don't know, man. Like it's by the way, and it's a PDF or it's some other format you don't like, and you got to read it on your phone and.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe someday they'll sell the comic, but I'm not even for free. I don't care. Like it's
that's kind of where I was at, Brian. It was just it's too. I love those creators, but it's too much work. I don't check my email as it is because I get so much bullshit, and I don't want to filter through it. Did I get the new one?
And I think that
I don't want to be the Substack apologist here, but
it's okay, JD, because you're the one in the group. You're the one in the group that has the most experience with it. Yeah. So please do.
Yes. So I will argue that, okay, so as far as I agree, the email aspect of it is my least favorite part, but they have a great reading app that you can pull it up, and it pulls it up almost like a social media feed. So you can scroll through and see who's posting what, and then click on those posts.
You know what? That's how Patreon does it as well.
Yeah.
If you are subscribed to multiple creators on Patreon, you have a patron feed where all of their posts.
Very similar. It's very similar to Patreon. Now, some creators are doing some really interesting value add things. Like Brian Michael Bendis's Jinx World Substack is a fucking comics creation school. He's teaching full on online classes.
That's cool as hell.
On how to create comics.
On how to stretch a 3-issue story into 8 issues, like things like that.
He's gotten much better.
Here's how you get Bill Jemis to give you as much money as you want. Yeah.
He took a strong course of antibiotics and he's gotten much better.
Sure he has. All right, I gotta bail, guys. I gotta go. It's noon. I got my wife texting me. I gotta go help with. They're trying to get their studio open, so we're done moving this weekend. But this is great. Great gang hang. Super fun. Everybody have a good, happy Thanksgiving. Be careful. Take care of each other.
A reminder again, because Matt's still recording, there will be no review show this week because it's the day before Thanksgiving. I've got people in from out of town, so if you want to blame somebody, blame me. But I'm hoping that we'll. There you go, blame the people. I'm hoping we'll still be able to do a gang hang. I would think.
I think Saturday. Yeah, we can gang hang.
Okay.
All right.
So, I mean, if you guys are around, I know it's holiday weekend and everything, but yeah, have a happy Thanksgiving, Americans. The rest of you, happy Thursday.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.